Another thing actually strikes me, which is that
Yeah.
you had this rhetoric about the emerging inevitable majority of non-whites and progressives and blah blah blah. At the same time, you have really rather high increase in immigration. So you kind of suggest to people that you white working class, you're the past anyway because you're going to be outnumbered, and this is just grist for the anti-immigration message of a Donald Trump, which is that in order to survive, you've got to stop the immigration. In order to survive, you've got to fight back in a sort of white politics, as it were. A white.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I meant about the seeds of some of these cultural conflicts that redounded against the Democrats really are laid during Obama's terms, because the immigration thing is a perfect example. It's during Obama's terms that we see exactly what John's talking about. The more the weight of the labor movement decreases, you get an increased weight of the groups, the advocacy groups, the foundations, the nonprofits, the left wing of the party, the activists who are on social media, and they're all pushing a certain kind of line about an issue like immigration, which is that no human being is illegal. To crack down on have a tight border security and crack down on immigrants, as Obama did during part of his terms, is fundamentally, borderline racist and xenophobic. And what Democrats should be about is anything but that, where we should be open. We should basically, have a very, very, very liberal asylum system and so on. And you also saw it in the evolution of views on crime with the Black Lives Matter movement coming together in 2013-14 and the beginning of what's called a national conversation about race, which is really a national lecture on race, where everybody is told that whites have privilege and we're a structurally racist society and all disparities are attributable to racism, and that, the fundamental problem isn't crime, the fundamental problem is cops who beat up on people, and that to even talk about law and order again is borderline racist. So I think a lot of the things that come to define the Democratic brand in the late part of the teens and are still with us today, they're really part and parcel of the process that leads the Democratic Party away from being focused on working class voters, away from economics that would benefit working class voters, away from promoting unionization, things that are obviously and clearly of interest and of benefit to working class people, and putting a lot more bets, indexing heavily on a lot of these culturally freighted issues, which appeal to a lot of their new voters who are college-educated whites, a lot of them younger, quite liberal, and who, again, punch way above their weight in the party in terms, and especially, I don't think we mentioned this yet, the shadow party, which we say really plays a key role in the Democratic Party and how its priorities are set and its image among the public increasingly in the 2000s and up to today.
I mean, there was an assumption at the time that the increase in immigration, both legal and illegal, would eventually redound to the Democrats. I mean, that was part of the majority-minority thesis. I think the moment at which I realized fully how this was not going to work, I was in Texas in the 2014 election. And Wendy Davis was the Democrat. She was known for her pro-abortion stance, pro-abortion rights, running against Abbott, who was, really a hardline conservative. And I had some conversations with Hispanics, Tejanos, whatever you want to call, and I came to understand that they were not enthusiastic about Wendy Davis. And Obama veterans had set up this group, Battleground Texas, that was actually supposed to get a majority in Texas. Texas was supposed to become like California on the basis of the Hispanic vote there. In the election, Abbott actually wins the male Hispanic vote, and he slightly loses the female vote. Because those voters, they weren't crazy about abortion politics. And she didn't have something that much to offer on economics. And lo and behold, as we discover in 2020, Hispanic voters are no more enthusiastic about illegal immigration than other voters. So, again, I think that was a moment of revelation. And for Rui and me, it meant that we weren't just talking about the problem of losing white working class votes, but losing working class votes, period.